Good evening, everyone. Welcome to It's Not Orange podcast. Blackpool stun Stockport. What a day for the guys out there. And helping me review this podcast are two of the most well-behaved Blackpool fans in the away end yesterday. First of all, I'm going to bring in Hoggy.
Good evening, Kurt. How are you?
I'm good. More importantly, how are you? How's your head? And also, how's your head?
Yeah, it's okay. There's a bit of a pounding headache, slightly self-induced through enjoying yesterday, but also through no fault of my own and having a toilet door slammed on it and creating a nice Harry Potter-esque scar down the middle of my forehead. So yeah, it's all right. We get there. Harder part's been spending the day running around after me 2-year-old. I think I feel like one of the Stockport midfielders chasing after Croy Anderson all game, just going, "Will you just stay still and stop running around?" But yeah, we've got through it. Here we are, and let's very much enjoy dissecting yesterday's superb win.
Yeah, we might struggle to keep it under an hour, but someone else who I could see on the TV enjoying himself but falling backwards is Pal. Pal, how you doing? How's your head?
Very good. Head's getting there. Feel like I've been on live sport all day, but I am ready to go and sing the praises of the Tangerine Boys from yesterday.
Yeah, unbelievable performance. But I've done Stockport twice now, and we lost both times. But the away days, unbelievable. So, how was yesterday overall?
Really
Good.
good.
Yeah, we got a nice early train out. Sun was shining. Met up with a few Manchester Seasiders branch in Stockport. The sun was out, a few beers, and for once, I think when the lineup came out, I was pleasantly surprised to see some of the players that were on there. So we were unsure, and a week ago, last Saturday, saw the lineup, and it kind of killed the mood. Whereas this week, I think it really added to it. And yeah, brilliant. You can't get better than going away to a game where, on paper at least, I think, and to the externals looking at the game, we were certainly the underdogs. But going there, sold out away end. Fans back the players, and the players. Evatt spoke about it quite a bit, hasn't he? It's a two-way relationship. We've both got to give each other what we need, and hopefully the result will take care of itself. And it did. The players gave it back to the fans in abundance in their effort. And did we hang on? Not really, because they didn't score till the last kick of the game. But you probably rode our luck a little bit. But like Evatt said again during the week, you put the hard yards and you kind of luck manages to find you enough. So yeah, great away day. Hopefully many more of them to come throughout the season.
Pal, there's been a bit of a disconnect, I think, over the last sort of 18 months at times between the fans and what's happening on the pitch. But from what I can see, what I saw yesterday definitely, and what I saw the back end of last season, there's definitely a connection there, isn't there now?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think that's probably a big reason why it was appointed, wasn't it? Just to try and bring someone in who the fans resonated with and had that connection with already. But I think Evatt, he knows how to talk. He knows what the fan base is about. I think he's probably instilling that into the players. And like you say, I think for the first time in probably a significant period of time, probably 18 months, 2 years, it does feel like there's a real connection there. Like I was buzzing yesterday in that way, and it felt like the players were there playing for the shirt again. It was a brilliant day, and it was very good to be back enjoying the football.
As Hoggy said about the selection, I was pleasantly surprised. Was there anything that surprised you about selection? Because I think when we discussed beforehand, we all thought it would be one of Charles or Bloxham with a Kouassi or CJ. And then I guess the other question marks were around whether it would be CJ Coulson or maybe Monroe would get his start. So did we line up as you thought, or what did you think we would do?
Yeah, I think we spoke about it on the way out on the train as well. I think we all thought it was going to be one of maybe Charles and Bloxham with CJ or Kouassi, given that Evatt spoke about the fitness. So seeing them both starting was a pleasant surprise. I don't think there was too much surprise about wing back, given Evatt's openly said Monroe's still not fully fit. So I think Coulson was always going to have to start, especially if CJ was going to be up front. So yeah, I mean, I was happy with the lineup. I was going into that a lot more confident than I was first thing in the morning anyway. So yeah, I think a few surprises, but pleasant surprises.
Yeah, Hoggy, I think the rest of the team picked itself, but would you have stuck with Coulson? Or I know that we had a bit of a discussion around CJ last week, but it's kind of felt like he wants CJ in the team for his reliability and pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and again, you look at the second goal, and that's exactly what he's there for. You don't want to be too harsh on players, but Coulson would not have been where Hamilton was in terms of the second goal, in terms of being able to get on the ball, get in behind his man, and put his traditional CJ kind of, I'm going to put it into a dangerous area cross, and Bloxham's thrown himself at it, and obviously bowlers tapped it in and scored the winner, like I said I would. So I was very happy to see it. And to be fair, I don't think anyone would have seen Coulson coming on in centre midfield later on during the game. But when he did, again, like Paul's alluded to, absolutely everyone put a shift in when they came on the pitch yesterday. And as a fan, you simply can't ask for anything more. Win, lose or draw, you have to put in 110%, and that's what you want. But we fully deserved and got the 3 points yesterday.
Yeah, it felt like a full team sort of combined effort. I think some of the things that were pretty obvious was Evatt's change in tactics when you go from the Wickham game to this game. He kind of very much sat off. Did you notice at Hoggy? I think on the TV it's quite noticeable some of the tactical changes of letting them have the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Evatt's made no secret of that. That at times, at home we kind of want to play like Stockport did in terms of dominating possession, try to dictate the play. But Evatt always talks about having a purpose, and it appeared and felt pretty quick and obvious to us that we were more than happy for them to have the ball as long as they were going out wide. Because you mentioned earlier about Ollie Casey before we came on pod, he was immense and he absolutely mopped up everything in the air against some serious aerial threat. And as long as they didn't come centrally through us, they didn't really tend to cause too many issues from that central area. It was balls out wide that they tried to get at us from, but again we were really, really disciplined, and that includes two players who have been questioned in their defensive abilities in terms of Hamilton and Bowler, but they tucked in. Yes, they got in a few times behind, but that's to be expected. But overall, they both did superb, and like you alluded to as well, it very much was a team effort when players were coming on. Anderson was able to hold that midfield together. He was absolutely unbelievable yesterday. His work rate, his discipline, his timing of challenges, holding on to the ball, winning free kicks. It was a top League One display. I believe it was a championship level display, if I'm quite honest, from him, and matched by a few others across the park as well. So I thought Evatt got it absolutely spot on, and even going into the second half too. I don't think he'd ever abandoned his 3-5-2. But what I will say, yesterday it was clear at times that we didn't just stick to 3-5-2 throughout the game, but we also didn't leave and completely get rid of our attacking intent even at 2-0 up. We didn't go fully back to a back seven and camp in or anything like that. We still kept our shape. We kept trying to play. We kept trying to do the right things. And credit's got to go to Evatt and the coaching staff for that, because that's the culture, the belief and the system that he's trying to implement on the players. And it's really positive. And how Evatt says not to get too high with the wins and too low with the losses, but to see over 2 games now a clear intent of the way we're wanting to play in this league, in 2 very difficult games, one where we're expected to win and one where we're not. I think it's a really, really positive starting point that the team, the system and the formation, they've got a platform to build from.
Yeah, I think the pleasing thing for me, and I think arguably, if we had Charles and Bloxham starting against Wickham, we'd probably be talking about 6 points here. Yeah. But they're 2 very different tactical performances, aren't they? A little bit route one at times with trying to hit the striker, but they did put they put a 4-man midfield across. So you had Honeyman, and then you had the 2 strikers, and that they were trying to block them from playing through the middle. So that seemed to work. But route one went very well when Bloxham raced through and finished. Pal, unbelievable finish, right? One of the things I was going to say about this as well is, have we kind of gone a bit under the radar on Bloxham and forgetting how phenomenal he can be at times?
Yeah, brilliant finish. It's the sort of finish you expect to see from a seasoned striker that's been playing in the league for the last 10 years. He just looked up, knew exactly where the keeper was and put it past him. It couldn't be more in the corner, kissed the post and went in. I think with his injuries, it's probably done him a disservice. And I think the size of him, he sometimes looks a little bit clunky, I think. So I don't think he maybe gets the plaudits that he probably should. And I always, I forget myself, so I bet everyone else does as well, but I forget how young he still is as well, which Evatt alluded to. He's got a lot to learn despite playing so much football at such a young age. But he's getting better and better. I wasn't overly keen on him as a striker when he was first playing there, especially last season. But he seems to be learning the role, and he's probably learning off Dobby. He's got some obviously seasoned pros in the coaching team there. But he seems to be learning the role. He's getting better and better. He seems to know when to pick a pass, and he links up play well. It sticks to him a little bit. So yeah, I think he's probably gone on the radar and not got the plaudits he probably should. But I think if he carries on like this, by the end of the season, he'll be getting all the plaudits in the world, because he was brilliant yesterday. Despite not being fully fit, he looked immense.
Yeah, I think last season we kind of ran him into the ground with Fletcher, didn't we? Because that's
Yeah.
all we had. My concern is, are we going to do the same over the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks and just be hammering him into the ground? Do you think we need to try and protect him, Hoggy, so that he's more short, sharp bursts as opposed to 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes?
Absolutely, we absolutely do. I know we discussed it on the last pod, but it'll be absolutely sacrilege if we don't go out and get a striker. I've made no bones about hiding who I would go and get, but we simply have to get someone. We have to get someone who is going to take the pressure off those two over. Certainly, if we're getting rid of Kouassi, we have to get someone to take the pressure off, like you say, Bloxham and Charles, because again, we've seen that they can pick up injuries and niggles, and then if we're left with just one of them two, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Going back to Bloxham, like you say, you want those continuous short, sharp bursts of pace that impact during the game. He's not played. He's barely played 90 minutes across 2 games for us now, and he's been involved in all of our goals so far this season, whether that be scoring or assists. And I think he's got absolutely massive potential. He's a handful. He's a big lad. He's got a great touch. He's got pace about him. He can clearly play. And yesterday proved that he absolutely finished. He's got a finish on him. And it was funny. I didn't think it was too dissimilar to Bowler's chance at the end of the Wycombe game. The way the chance kind of came across his body to his right hand side, and we talked about that little bit of composure that we needed in front of goal. And it wasn't. He didn't absolutely smash it past the keeper, but he very firmly planted it at the inside of his foot, going away from the keeper. He clearly backed himself, and it was a really, really great finish. And if he could very kindly pay for a refund of my glasses that he broke when celebrating the goal out of his goal bonus, that'd be marvellous, Tom. Cheers.
Yeah, maybe we need to put a tweet out and ask him if he'll pay for them. Talking of somebody else who I think has added massively to his game, I think when we watched Josh Bowler in his first sort of stint with us, it was very much about being the winger, attacking. He's added, Paul, he's added more dimensions to his game. I don't think he'd have scored that type of goal in the 5-yard box for us previously. What did you think about his performance? Because I love watching him. I think he's easily one of my favourite players to watch.
He's just the sort of player that you do like to watch, and he's the one that will pick the ball up and drive at his man. I think we've seen it already over the first 2 games. He looks like a completely different Josh Bowler to what we saw pretty much all of last season. He looks like he's got a fire in his belly. He looks ready to go. He looks raring. He looks fit and sharp as well. I think at times last season in spells, he looked maybe a little bit leggy, and like he wasn't maybe fully with it. But yeah, he looks so sharp off the ball. He's making movements, making runs, and he's adding a bit of a defensive side to his game as well. I mean, he's not a wing back. Let's not make any debate about it. That's not his natural position. But he's playing there, and he's doing well. We've obviously, I don't know whether anyone else picked up. We seem to have adjusted the tactics to suit him being at right wing back. So when he's on the ball, we seem to shift over to the right. Williams will drop in more to the right, and everyone else will drop back to the left as well. So we sort of go into that back 4. But it's just freed him up a little bit, and he's causing havoc. And you're seeing teams having to double up on him, which is creating space for everyone else as well. So I mean, if we've got a fit and firing Josh Bowler, we've got every chance in the world to win more games than we'll lose. So long may it continue.
Hoggy, do you think we stick with this 3-5-2, or a variation of it as it stands, or do you think Evatt will look to change it up? I think the Wycombe game showed that our threat on the right can be isolated. Right, in the second half, he was a bit less effective, and our left side wasn't as potent until Munro came in. Do you think Munro's the answer to balance in the attack?
I think it's exactly that. I don't think there's a cat and else chance we're going to abandon 3-5-2. I don't think we need to when we do have the full set of players and squad that are available. There are times in games, but like I said, yesterday showed it. We can tweak. We went 3-5-2, went a bit tighter. Say a flat 4 across the middle at times as well. So we can adapt during games, but I think the principle is going to be 3-5-2. But like Powell says, we're clearly working it around the players that can have a key impact on us during games. And there's an opportunity for Bowler in the first few minutes of the game yesterday. I think his closing down was brilliant. He's harried their centre half into a problem. You think he's cutting inside. You've got to get a shot off, and didn't quite get a shot away. You're thinking, is it going to be one of those days again for him? But his work rate off the ball, getting in and gambling on those potential second chances that the ball might fall his way. He got what he deserved yesterday with the tapping. And like Dave said in the comments, he does look so much fitter. I appreciate it. Being a wing back is a very, very hard job. You've got to be a physical athlete to get up and down all game, certainly defensively, like Evatt's asking. But you can see it the minute, the ball goes out of play, he's tucking back in, he's looking around, he's thinking. You can see him during the game thinking positionally of where do I need to be, which is great to see. And there's already that relationship that's continuing to build with him and Williams as well. A couple of times we're just a little bit off balance in the first half. I think Williams knocked a few inside and Bowler went on the outside and vice versa. But the intent is there. And you can see it's another relationship in the team that's only going to continue to progress. And I think we'll see the same down the left-hand side too once I think CJ's got that place for now, which is fine. But as the season progresses, we're looking for quality. Munro will come in, and if he's got Ashworth behind him, those two together will link up just as well as Bowler and Williams, in my opinion. And that balance in the 3-5-2 will then naturally cause space in the middle for our other players to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think going back to CJ, I think that's the thing that we've wanted CJ to do more, right? Is to get the ball into those sorts of areas where you've got to make the keeper or the defender make a rash action, which obviously led to the goal. One of the things that I thought about the goal is the commitment of Bloxham to throw his body in there, and part of that I think might be down to the way that Charles plays. Charles is very much throw his body in there and kind of get in amongst it. I think he's definitely one of those players that have got to build up. One of the things that I noticed, Hoggy, was the press was always initiated by Charles. He was almost the one to right, we're going now, rather than just random people, pressing and completely wasting energy. What did you think about Charles yesterday?
I thought he was excellent, and again, he's only going to get better playing in that mould. And the key word is that press is discipline. I remember back to when we tried to press under Bruce, and it was just people running around in straight lines, causing absolute chaos. A bit like we've kind of said that George Honeyman did, but George Honeyman had a great game yesterday because he was disciplined in his efforts and engagement in terms of when Charles went and when Bloxham went, he would also follow on as well. And that's when it is really difficult for teams to get out and play the way through you, and you force them into a mistake and they have to go along. But going back to Charles as well, it's leadership. If you see people around you, Bloxham, you've got competition for places, a high quality competition in our front line when everyone's fit. If you see someone like Charles who's throwing his body on the line, he's committing to everything, you better be doing the damn same as well. Otherwise, you're not going to be playing. And it rubs off on people around you as well. So it was brilliant to see. And again, as we develop and as we start to build those relationships with each other, Anderson in behind as well, Morgan behind, the press will cause a lot of teams at this level a lot of problems.
Yeah, it feels like the start of last season we had a terrible start, and I read on the forum earlier on a Stockport fan that said you looked all over the place when we played you twice last year, whereas at least there was a structure, and I think fans can get behind a structure of seeing you try to do something on the pitch. So it's really positive. Pal, what do you think about Charles? Do you think he needs a goal to come off his arse or something? I feel like he would just, once he scores one, he'll get going.
Yeah, I think he's going to be that exact sort of player. I think if he gets one, I think he'll just start firing. I mean, again, he's another one that's not fully fit yet, so I'm holding out judgment on him too much. But from what we're seeing at the moment, even when he's not fully fit, he's pressing, he's running channels, he's trying to link up play, he's getting involved. So if he's doing that whilst he's not fully fit, what's he going to be like when he is firing on all cylinders? I think he's going to improve us. I think he's going to improve Taylor. I think all four of them are going to push each other. You've got four strikers there that, to an extent, are all a similar sort of moulding, that they'll all put the body on the line, they're all running channels and press for you, but they've all got a little bit different to the game. So if you're watching Charles and Bloxham now, Ennis and Taylor on the sidelines whilst they're in the recovery, they know they're going to have to be firing when they come back to fitness to be able to get in the team. So I think, like you say, if Charles is doing it, if Bloxham's doing it, they're just going to push each other to improve. But so far, I really like what I've seen. I know Charles came with his criticisms from Huddersfield fans, but look what he did under Evatt when he was at Bolton. So if he can replicate that for us, then we've got a chance of winning more games if we win or lose. So long may that continue.
Yeah, I think Tom likes to go minute by minute of the game, and my brain isn't as good as that. So excuse me for jumping from person to person, but I think once we got the second goal, I think last year we would have almost settled for the first goal, right? We got two, and we were still threatening on the break, but I think somebody that really stood up really tall yesterday was Ashworth, and I think he's benefiting massively from your mate leaving the club, pal. Because I think he's never really had a run of games or a chance at, taking the shirt. He's always been shipped at left wing back. He's been left centre back, and I don't think he's ever really, gone below a 6.5 out of 10, right? He's always given, solid account of it himself. And again, we forget he's young, right? He's 22, 23. Is that right? He can't be that
old. Early 20s, isn't he? Yeah.
So I thought he was really solid. What do you see happening with our sort of centre back situation? Do you think when Horsfall, maybe another signing come back, he'll just be back on the bench, or do you think he's got what it takes and maybe the opportunity to keep that shirt?
I think you should keep it. I mean, what justification have you got for getting rid of him at the moment? I've said it a few times. I've said it on Twitter to a few people. Zach Ashworth at left centre back in that back three is the least of our concerns. If he was there all season long, I'd have absolutely no concerns whatsoever. I think every time he's put the shirt on, like you say, you get a 6.5, 7 out of him every week. He knows his role. He's left-footed, so it balances that back three out. He does his job and he does it well. He doesn't overcomplicate it, but he's happy to play the ball out. I mean, in all his games for us, how many times has he really done anything wrong for us? He's just quite a calm. I know he's not the most physical, which a lot of people say, well, you need a big physical centre half to play in that back three, but he's not been bullied. We Stockport had a couple of big lads up front yesterday, and at no point was he being bullied by anyone. He was calm, solid. Him and Williams are just the perfect left and right sided centre halves in the back three. I think the contest is going to be between Horsfall and Casey for me on who plays that central role, because at the moment Williams and Ashworth, the shirts are theirs, and someone better be putting in some bloody good performance to take it off him, because there's no justification whatsoever for Ashworth to be dropped out of this team at the moment.
Hoggy, are you of the same mind? Do you like the structure of the back three, or do you think we need a bit more height when we come up against your Stevenages and your?
No, absolutely not. Because I think we focus on playing the way that we want to play, and we dominate and take the game to them rather than worrying about them being shitty League One, Route One football teams. That Mandron, to be fair, came on yesterday and he looked like an absolute wardrobe. He was an absolute unit. And they stood on Ashworth, but Ashworth, despite having already played 70 minutes at Graft, did not back down out of anything. I absolutely love the guy. He's becoming the modern day Stephen Crane, like you say. He doesn't make any serious glaring errors. And even more impressive for me is that, with the greatest respect to CJ and Coulson in front of him as being an option for him to pass to, they're not the most technically gifted footballers to have in front of you. You know that they can put you in a bit of pressure with a short or sloppy pass. But like I said earlier, once I think Munro eventually comes in and takes that place on the left wing, he's going to thrive even more, because he's going to be someone who he can develop and build a really strong partnership with. And in terms of partnerships, the back three is absolutely well balanced. Like Paolo says, left and right, Casey in the middle, they're a really good unit together. And they dealt with a lot of problems that Stockport threw at them yesterday that other defences simply won't be able to cope with in this league. And we had the debate, ironically, on the way home about Horsfall coming back in. Not for me at all. No chance. Some of those back three has to make some serious glaring mistakes for anyone to come into that back three at the minute, because Ashworth, Williams, and Casey and Peacock Farrell are the starting point of our starting 11 every week for us. It's that simple. And yeah, fair play to Zach Ashworth. He's been absolutely immense.
The only thing I'd say in Horsfall's defence, though, is he had Casey, who I don't think was comfortable at right centre back at all, and he had Hubby at left centre back. And I think I think Casey prefers to play in the centre, right? He likes to be like almost the focal point of the defence. I watched him at Forest Green, and he played in that sort of role, and he really flourished there. And I think when you've got two sort of left and right centre backs that can actually play football, no disrespect to Hikwe and and husband, it helps, right? But I definitely think Horsfall's still got a place to play within this squad, whether he's available or not, when he's available even.
I agree, but it has to be a like-for-like swap for Casey, which I think unless Casey has an absolute stinker, it's going to be very harsh to drop him, because putting either Horsfall, and I like Horsfall, I think he's a fantastic centre-half, but you can't drop Casey in between those two, and you can't put either or of Horsfall or Casey right or left side of the other centre-half, because it completely, we've seen it unbalances it. Neither of them two are comfortable being outside of that central position. That's not bad. It's just a fact. We are weaker, and we will unbalance it. And then your debate is, well, okay, Evatt's clearly working on 3-5-2. If we then go brilliant, let's go for into a back four of Horsfall and Casey together at centre half, which I think would be a brilliant pairing. You've then got to think, well, what are you going to lose from the rest of the team by dropping in Williams at right back and potentially Ashworth at left back? It completely changes the dynamics of what we're trying to do. And we're going to lose someone from further up the field that we've currently got impacting the game. So it's a difficult one. It's harsh, and the contracts of these players that are currently Horsfall and Edgeley, who are meant to be big earners on big contracts, coming in performing every week. If they're not, it's tough, and you've got to sit on the bench and take your chance when it comes along.
But is that area not as big a risk as the strikers then? Because at the minute we don't have a massive amount. Maybe Lyons for Williams, maybe Munro for Ashworth, but is that area still a risk? Do we think that's as important as striker?
I do, yeah, because I can't rely on Edgeley in any way, shape, or form. If I'm quite honest, from what we've seen so far, you can on you can't Horsfall when he comes back in. But again, we've been linked with, was it Josh Earl, big left-sided centre half. We need cover on the left hand. I like Andy Lyons. I think he can do a job on the right hand side, covering for Williams if needed. But on the left hand side, am I comfortable with Coulson coming in? Probably not. CJ will probably drop in at left back if worst came to worst. Mr. Swiss Army knife, we know he can do it before. I think he was captain last time he was left back, wasn't he, for us, which is marvellous. But yeah, we do need cover. We do. There's two key positions for us, and it's a centre half, a left side centre half, in my opinion, and a striker, and they need nailing down before the window closes.
Yeah, great. Pal, one of the positions that concerned me with last season, particularly it was in goal. I think I've been one of his harshest critics at times. I think he didn't command his box very well. He looked very tentative, and he looked scared, if I'm being brutally honest. I think he might say the same, but I think we've seen a different side of him the last two games, and obviously I hope it continues. Do we think a settled home and knowing that exactly where he's going to be for this year's help Peacock Farrell?
I think so. Yeah, I think the mentality of that, knowing he's going to be here for the longer term now, is probably playing a part. I think back in the last season we saw a bit of an improved version of him as well. I mean, the whole team back in the last season improved, so it maybe came with a bit of confidence. He maybe is a confidence type of keeper who just needs to know he's secure. But I don't think there's any coincidence in that he's looking better when you've got a settled front three in front of him as well. I know we've just sang the praises of Casey, Williams and Ashworth, but if you're a goalkeeper and you've got three centre halves in front of you that are doing the job and doing it well, you're not going to be as flappy. You're not going to be as worried about coming out. You know that they're going to deal with things, and you only need to get involved at the point when it comes into your 6-yard box, which yesterday he was coming. He had his strong fist to it when he needed to. He was collecting the ball. His kicking at times was a little bit hit and miss, but again, if he was all around keeper, he wouldn't be playing in League One, would he? But no, I think he's a lot better than he's been. That save, I think it was second half, wasn't it? With his strong left arm, he just tipped it out and around the corner. It was a brilliant save. Yeah, he's a lot better, and I feel a lot more confident. I wasn't overly impressed about keeping him, but if this is going to be his standard, then we've got a brilliant keeper on our hands, and he'll keep a lot of clean sheets this season.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Big Dog Walker, I'm an absolute rookie. I'm just pressing buttons and hoping for the best. So yes, absolutely reading them out. Tony Lawson said 9 toes is toast as far as I'm concerned. Negotiate a contract termination. I think probably most people would do that if we could, and we had the finances to do that. Yeah, I think we got like a duty of care to get him fit first before he disappears. BPF pipped Anderson to man of the match yesterday. One banner that I don't have is actually about Anderson, and I probably should do, because I think that's 2 pods in a row that we could be talking about him being man of the match, Hoggy. I'll be honest, I didn't. Maybe this is my negative viewpoint because I'm thinking down on quite a few players, but I thought he was good. I would be happy if we signed him, but the last 2 games I didn't realise how good he could be, and I think he was absolutely excellent in a different game where most of it was off the ball yesterday. Yeah, I think we could be looking at big money for him if he carries on like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's down to him to consistently do that. And if he does, then it's not going to be a bad thing because we're not going to be losing many matches when he's performing like that in the midfield. And again, he's bringing out the best in those around him too. Like I say, starting to, he held together a midfield of Hayden Coulson and Josh Bowler was a 3 for about 10 minutes yesterday, which is absolutely insane. But he's just got a bit of everything, but does it so well. Physically strong, absolute engine of a horse on him. Again, when he first came in, I think his distribution and technical ability was kind of questioned, but his passing has been so simplified so far this season. But that's what you need in terms of that triangle in the middle. We always go back to the Adam Vaughan Southern show, don't we? As the trio of trust, if you like. He started to pick up that role of just simply laying off the ball to those around him, whether it be Morgan, whether it be Clarkson, and letting them be the ones to start picking their passes. But for as good as he was, I do actually agree with Big Dog Walker that Peacock Farrell was man of the match because if all people are whinging for a League One goalkeeper in 90 minutes is his kicking, then I'm all for it. Certainly considering the fact that he got an assist from one of his kicks. Let's not forget that. But the save in the first half down to his left just before half time with his leg, I think instinctive save was brilliant. Because if you go into that game 2-1 at half time, it's a very, very different second half. And then the good old Peter Schmeichel Hail Mary with the left arm that came out to tip it round the post was superb. But you can see the confidence in him as well, coming for crosses in between really crowded penalty areas amongst some big players, but getting 2 strong hands to it. I see keepers nowadays just trying to be a hero and coming out and just running into players and looking for fouls and giving away stupid goals. He's not. He's coming out with confidence, with strength, and he's commanding his penalty area. It's great to see, and if he carries on in that time, both him and Anderson, they will both be getting called up to their respective international teams because that level of performance is superb.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot more confidence in the 3 in front of him. Not to slate players that have played in front of him last season, but I think he just seems a bit calmer. And when he's coming for something, as you said, it's committed. If I'm coming, I'm going through someone and I'm getting the ball. And he did that a few times. And I think, what needs to happen for him particularly is if he lets in something he feels like he should have saved or he makes a mistake, it's got to go from the brain. That's what really good goalkeepers do at this level. So, Pal, just going back to Anderson before we maybe go into the man of the match a bit more detail. Do we think our midfield 3 is going to change quite a bit? Obviously we've got Brown to come back in. Hopefully Brown recovers and he's okay for this weekend. Maybe Tuesday, I'm not sure. But what do we think of the makeup of the middle 3? Do you still think there's work to do in there in the transfer market? I know you're not a massive fan of Mr. Honeyman.
Yeah, I think if I had my way, I'd probably have Honeyman out the door and have one other in of equal quality to. Well, it's going to be struggle to get someone of equal quality, but someone that can play alongside Anderson and push each other. I think Anderson and Morgan are the first names on the team sheet. Then you're going to be picking from one of Clarkson and Brown realistically to partner those 2. I mean, to be honest with you, I think if you put anyone next to Anderson, they're going to look better because he looks that good. He will be a championship player in the next 2 years, whether it's with us or with someone else. And like you said before, he will be going for big money. You're talking £3 million plus if he carries on the way he is, especially with today's market. So yeah, I think there's probably a bit of work to do there. I think we do need one more central midfielder personally, because like I said, I'm not a big fan of Honeyman. I think he's a little bit erratic. He was improved yesterday, as Hoggy mentioned before, but I just don't think long term we're going to be able to rely on him over the course of the season to add the quality that we need. But I mean, if you've got Anderson there, you can do whatever you want, really, because it looks like he's going to run the show every week.
Do you think it's a case of that the more games that Honeyman plays that, and last season he got injured, didn't he? But do you think that the more games that he plays, the better he'll get? Because I'm probably similar to you in that I've not seen from him yet at Blackpool, which placed him at a higher level in his career. I've not seen it yet. I was expecting him to be championship caliber. Do you think it's the more games he needs, or what different position, or what do you think it is?
I don't know. I can't make out what his role actually is or what it should be. Like you said, we signed him on the back of it. I think he played 38 times for Millwall the season before we signed him. So when we signed him, I was thinking, right, we're getting a championship caliber player here that's going to carry the team most weeks and he's going to drag us through games. But I've just not seen anything that would justify how he played so much in the league above. I don't know whether he's an attacking midfielder, whether he's a holding midfielder. I don't really know what he is. I know he looks busy and he does run around a bit, but sometimes he's a bit like a hamster on a wheel. He just looks really busy and just does a lot of running, but doesn't really go anywhere with it. So I don't know. I think maybe the jury is maybe out, and there's been improvements in other players already this season, so maybe he will improve. But for me, so far, I just don't know what he brings to the team and what his role should be. So it's a strange one. I mean, we'll probably be sitting here in 6 months, and there'll be people pulling this pod up and calling me a knobhead for getting it all wrong, and he'll be our star player. But at the moment, as things stand, I'd prefer to see the back of him, but you never know. It's football, isn't it? It's Blackpool.
Yeah, there'll be loads of things they could pull you up for, pal. Don't worry, that's fine. Hoggy, what do you think about the midfield three? I feel like we need to try and get Clarkson in there somewhere, because I feel like there's a footballer waiting to break out there. He's got quality, but maybe Stockport away is probably not the game for him, right?
I don't know, because I think last season, wasn't it, when everyone was calling for Clarkson to come in after we signed him in January. Everett then we didn't play him for a while. Then after singing his praises, then Everett threw him in away at Stevenage away, which absolutely isn't the game for him. But I think as the season progresses, I think at home we'll see our more technical midfielders starting games alongside Anderson. So I think your Clarkson and your Morgan will start more games at home, whereas away from home, I think Honeyman will be in there more often than not alongside Anderson. I think they're the main two that are on the starting 11 for Everett, and it's whoever is performing in and around at that time. And Morgan was the one, obviously, after Brown got injured, who took his chance, took it very well, and has put in 2 brilliant performances. So he can't currently be dropped. I'm just thinking back to, I can't remember who it was, but someone called George Honeyman Jay Spearing in a curly wig at the weekend, and it did chuckle me quite a bit. I think it's a little bit harsh, but I do think he'll get better as well, because, like you say, he'll start to channel his enthusiasm, his aggression on the pitch in terms of not causing ourselves too many problems, making sure that his disciplines do it at the right time in the right areas. But yeah, he's the club captain. Everett likes him. Everett speaks highly of him. I don't think he'll be going anywhere else. I think he'll start more games than he won't for us. But I think we've got enough good options in there to see us through the season and to play the way Ian Evatt wants us to play and dominate and win games for us, certainly at home.
Yeah, I think he's the Jordan Henderson of the England squad, right? For us, it would be nice if he played less, but I think I'm hoping he gets better. Yeah, Big Dog, I think, yeah, you're probably right there. I think for Anderson to get to either of their levels, he probably needs to chip in with a few more goals, I think. Yeah, Honeyman is always better against teams that play football. I think one of the things with Honeyman last year was that he was trying to carry the team on his back a little bit by running around relatively aimlessly and pointlessly at times. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that was reference Clarkson, my suggestion. Yeah, I agree. But League One is a physical level, right? If you've got to play at if you're going to play at League One level, you need to be relatively physical. So, yeah, and I agree. I think, yeah, both of them could play very well against other League One sides. Man of the match, are we sticking with Peacock Farrell? Do we think there's anybody else outside of this list that could be on there? I think Bowler's probably got a shout to some degree. Bloxham for his first half display.
Yeah, I think it's between Peacock, Farrell, Anderson for me. There's some very, very good performances. Ashworth probably even with a shout as well. Bloxham, like you say, but I think those two would probably stand out really for me.
Yeah, Peacock Farrell for me too. Like Mike mentioned in the comments, he said he was gutted when Stockport scored because his performance absolutely deserved a clean sheet, and he's right, it really, really did. Yeah, that performance was fantastic, and like you say, when you had such good performances around you, for Peacock Farrell still to be mentioned in the man of the match bracket shows how good of a performance it was, and like a couple of comments said, I hope he takes the confidence from that and he does understand that all the fans want to do is just see you put 110% into the shirt. And you made a good point, Kurt. If you let one in, don't worry about it. Get on with it. It's all about the next stage, the next moment for you. Keep out the net, and we'll be in a good place. So yeah, Peacock Farrell for me, just edging out Karoy in the middle.
Yeah, I think the same with that. I think it's quite clear. I think more Peacock Farrell because some of the saves were just excellent and the pressure in the box and to stay composed. They had something like 61 touches in the box and 20 odd shots. So, a word on Stockport. I think they looked good. Hoggy, do we think they're top 6 contender? I think they could probably do with adding a bit of quality up front before the window closes.
Yeah, I think so. You know how they're going to play. They do it well. I think we did very well. Like I say, frustrating and upsetting them. They could probably do moving the ball a little bit quicker to try and create a few extra openings for them. But they've got enough players who've been in and around this level to know what it takes to get them in the top 6. Jack Diamond was very good out wide. Norwood, what you see is what you get. Neat and tidy, great set piece delivery, always causes problems. Kyle Wooten, always going to score you 15, 20 odd a season, isn't he?
And play centre back as well.
Yeah, if needs be. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, that Mandron that came on was an absolute monster. So, you talk about League One being a physical league. They've got the players that can mix it. I would say I thought the back three, they were quite a big unit, but they did seem a bit slow. We in terms of Evatt's tactics, exposed it really, really well. We turned them pretty quick, and we had chances in the first half that obviously we took. So that's certainly one way to get at them. But yeah, I'd be surprised if they're not in the top 6 come the end of the season, along with us, obviously.
Yeah, Powell. I think they moved the ball really well, and Jack Diamond, I'm shocked he's still at this level, to be honest, because he looked good last season. But from their previous game when they played against Plymouth, they linked up really well with Glover on the left, and I think we managed to get a grip of that pretty early. But what did you think about Stockport overall?
Yeah, I think they're a good footballing team. I think we've seen over the years, though, League One teams that are good footballing teams can often be frustrated by the non-footballing teams, so you sort of anti-football teams like Stevenage. So I think there will be games where they will be frustrated. I mean, we saw it yesterday against us. We had a game plan and we executed it. There'll be a lot of teams that go there as the away team and set up in a similar sort of way to what we did and just aim to frustrate them. I think, did they have something like 750 passes to our 200 or so? I mean, you can pass the ball around as much as you want, but if you've got nothing to penetrate it, then you're not going to win many games, are you? So I think they will be frustrated. I think they'll be top 6, but there'll be some games where they drop points where they probably be expecting to win games. But like Augie said, you got players like Norwood, you got Diamond, Glover. They're a good footballing outfit and they move the ball well. But they do have that frailty to be frustrated, I think. So I think it'll be an interesting season and see how they do fare against the sort of teams that come to play anti-football, as it were.
Yeah, they've got the 18-year-old lad in goal, and it must be difficult when you've had 2 or 3 shots against you and 2 of them have gone in, because it's young and, confidence can dip. Hoggy, what did you think of him, just quickly before we move on?
I was laughing because when you said 2 or 3, I thought you were going to say 2 or 3 idiots behind the goal giving him absolute bags of abuse in a good-natured way. And to be fair to him, he took it very, very well. I think he did okay. I don't think he kind of fumbled the second, but it's kind of a good save at the same time. First one he's got no chance with. Typical Premier League young academy goalkeeper, I suppose, isn't it? Good with his feet, confidence, wants to play. We didn't really put too many crosses on him to test him to know what he's like aerially in terms of what I imagine, like Paul was saying, he'll get at your Stockports and your Burtons and Stockports, at your Burtons and your Stevenages, etc. But yeah, 715 passes or whatever it was. Ian Evatt said it from day one. There's a way you can play football, and it's about having a purpose and intent. Those passes have got to mean something. There's got to be an end product that you're working towards at the end of it. And a lot of that game yesterday, it felt like Stockport didn't know what their end product was going to be or how to get to it. And that was down to us. So there's lessons that we can learn from watching them, from teams that we beat, to understand that we can't fall into the trap of just passing for passing's sake out wide. We've got a few tricks up our sleeve. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we owe them because we've only played them 4 times in 20 years, and they've beat us all 4 times. So absolutely, Tony. Moving on then. Tuesday, I kind of feel like we could do without a cup game on Tuesday, and we could do with another league game. But one of the comments in the chat actually is about a good number 2. I think it would be really good to see Southwood on Tuesday. Pal, what do you expect from Tuesday? How do you think we'll go? What do you think we'll line up like?
I can't see a world in which Charles or Bloxham feature. I think Munro will probably start to try and get some minutes into the legs. I think we'll see a makeshift side just to protect those core players that are maybe still coming back from fitness and to avoid anyone else picking up niggles. Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly bothered about the cup, to be honest with you. We go out of it. I'm not asked. I think Lincoln will probably be of the same sort of mindset. We could see 2 very weak teams just battling out, and it'll be like a video on YouTube. Want it 2 retards fighting? It'll just be 2 shit teams trying to play a bit of football and see who ends up winning. I've got no interest in it, to be honest with you. It's not where our priority is. We're not going to win it. So, cup run, it might be good for the bank, get a bit of a prize money, but bin it off, focus on the league, move on to Peterborough and get 3 points against Peterborough for me.
I think the problem is every year we think we get to sort of the 3rd round and we'll get an Everton away at the new stadium, or we'll get United away, or we'll get something glorious and we'll end up at Sheffield United away or something that we've been to loads. So, Hoggy, are you? Yeah, wow, yeah. Hoggy, are you as negative about the cup, or
as excited about it as Powell? Hard not to, isn't it? No, I do agree in respect of. It's good. It's another 90 minutes, an opportunity for us to get some fitness into some legs. But again, we know our squad at the minute has still got a lot of players recovering and players out, so it's not ideal. But one thing I will say is Lincoln will be looking at it the exact same way. Make no bones about it, that they won't want this game either. They've played 2, lost 2 in the Championship. They've got a massive game on Saturday ahead against Bolton. That'll be very much more important than our game on Tuesday night. So I can't see them risking many of their first team players either. So yeah, it will. I expect our whole bench from Saturday to be lining up, starting the game on Tuesday night. But again, it's an opportunity. We've started the season well. We're unbeaten. Evatt will be drilling that message into them. Look, we go out, play, show me that what you can do in the system and the way that we want to play. We've got a game on Saturday against Peterborough that so far, Saturday was a squad game. Show me that when you're called upon, you're there to do a job. You're reliable. You can impact the game in a positive way, and show me that you deserve a starting place on Saturday against Peterborough. But if we go through, great. If we don't, we don't. It's not the end of the world. And like Paul said, it certainly is not our priority this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think for your Lions, your Coulsons, your Karasis, it's another opportunity to impress, right? And to show that you're in the squad game. I think the problem is we've got at centre back and sort of those positions. We're going to have to play one of Williams and Casey, because we've unless it, do you think he'll even go as far as playing players like Elder and stuff like that? I don't know if he's on loan, but I think there's an opportunity there. Just because I think building on wins is really important, Hoggy. Like, run of wins can massively help. And I think Lincoln might be thinking the same. Maybe they haven't quite played in the right shape, or they, haven't quite got things right, and they might treat it as a 45, 60-minute first team and then whip everybody off. You don't think we'll do that? You think we'll just swap it all out?
I think we will swap it all about. But again, in some areas, like you say, where we probably will have to play some people from Saturday. But for me, I'd like you say, I'd go as far as the U team, Kurt, and I'd be handing them a shirt and going, "There's your chance, lads. Go and show us what you can do." You're not going to get any criticism from the fans if you're throwing a stinker. And if we lose 2-0 to Lincoln, 3-0 to Lincoln, no one bats an eyelid. The world moves on, and it's Wednesday, and we're all looking forward to Saturday, and that'll be Evatt's message full time. If we lose, it's gone. Lads put in a performance. No one got injured. See you Saturday. Let's go and beat Peterborough. Go top of the league. That's what matters. That's our bread and butter. So yeah, I'd be expecting wholesale changes, and I think the fans would be more encouraged seeing some young players given a chance, because and I don't want anyone to get injured ever, of course. But if you've got your first team players playing out on Saturday, and Coulson and Casey goes up for a header or something, or pulls takes an elbow to the head and a head injury, or pulls a hamstring, you're watching that first team players that you need on Saturday for an important League One game. You're kind of watching it on eggshells, going, don't overcommit yourself for this, what is a effectively pointless game of football at this stage of the season. So bring in some of the youth lads, all the bench from Saturday, give it a good go, show that you can impact the starting level when you get an opportunity. And if that's enough to beat Lincoln, brilliant. If not, so be it. I'll still be sleeping easy on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Big Dog, absolutely right. You know, maybe 5, depending on your thoughts of players, is definitely some missing. Pal, you have access to Simon Sadler's bank account. You can get as many players as you want. Realistic, obviously. Where do we need to strengthen, and any Jerry Yates names in mind?
I think we need a centre half. Well, which side of the centre? Maybe a left centre half. I think obviously we've been linked with Josh Earl, aren't we, from Barnsley. So that's obviously an area that's been highlighted. I think everywhere else along the back four, you're probably okay. You've got Coulson and Munro for left wing back. You've got Bowler for right wing back, and Lyons worst case if he gets injured. And you obviously got Niskanen to come back in as well. A centre mid, like I said before, and you could argue that you do need a striker given the fact that Ennis and Taylor are both out injured, and they both seemingly seem to be made out of glass, so they are going to get injured again at some point. But I don't know if it's realistic bringing in another striker, just given are you going to have 5 big hitters that all want to play, and how are you going to keep them all happy? You're going to justify the wage bill. But in an ideal world, like say unlimited money, you'd have a striker, a centre mid, and maybe a left-sided centre half, and I think we're pretty much there. I think the foundations are there with a good squad. Get everyone back to fitness, keep them fit, and we could be cooking on gas and be looking forward to a very exciting season.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've noticed with the club, especially over the last few years, is that signings just come out of nowhere, right? There's no noise about them; they just get announced. Hoggy, what do you think we need? Do you think we need a few exits first? You know, maybe Kwasi to go, maybe Coulson to head out, Lyons maybe out on loan before we bring someone in, or do you expect some incomings this week or over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. And again, I said I'd happily sacrifice some of the bigger earners if it meant we bring in I do, because if they sat around doing nothing and we've got cover in those positions in terms of, I think we've got more than enough in central midfield. Tony mentioned about sorting out Equi's contract and paying him out. Fine. Kouassi, by the way, played very, very well on Saturday when he came on. He played like he was looking for a move, and superb display for him. He won everything in the air and battled. So fair play to him if he does get a good move from this. But we absolutely do need to bring in another striker. Yes, you can say the wages are high for strikers, and who's going to want to come in and possibly play a 5th choice. I don't really care, because you can't expect the 2 strikers up front to be running to the ground over the next 2-3 months whilst the other 2 come back from fitness and not pick up an injury and perform to keep us at the top side of the table where we want to be. It's simply not going to happen. They're going to pick up knocks. We've said it. These 2 up front are happy to throw their bodies on the line in challenges, so they're going to pick up injuries and niggles. And they play on the edge. They've got that quick burst of pace. So we know there's another hamstring waiting to pop round the corner somewhere, and we need to be ready for it. We can't be sat here on the 2nd of October going to Barnsley going, oh God, who saw that coming now? And now we're down to 1 striker, and suddenly we're pushing CJ back up front, playing alongside whoever. It's not good enough for the ambition that we have this season. And the only striker that Evatt's actually brought in is Charles. So if Sadler's and Sadler has put his hand in his pocket back in previous managers, but Evatt's working with what effectively was a winger in Bloxham and created him into a striker, and he's already had Ennis and Taylor, who are both not fully fit. So if Simon Sadler is having his door knocked down by Ian Evatt going, I want another striker, you go and get him another striker, and then you go, well, you've got what you wanted. Go and put us on the table where I think this squad should be, and then Evatt has no excuses to come back to. And the defensive side of it, yeah, we do need another defender purely for cover, because the idea of, yes, Horswall can come in and can do a job, but it very much unbalances that defensive shape that we talked about as a 3. And I think Coulson is a bit suspect on the left side of a 3. I think he'd be targeted quite a lot if he was alongside a Williams and a Casey, or a Williams and a Horsfall. So yeah, we certainly need a bit of cover there too. But
Coulson's a bit like Honeyman, though, isn't he? Coulson's a bit like Honeyman. What is your position? What should you be playing, right? I think I struggle with Coulson. I think he doesn't lack endeavour, but he definitely, you see flashes from him and he does something, you're like, that's why he's there, and then you don't see it again. So I think the one thing that does concern me is if Bowler was to get a 2-3 month injury, where does the creativity come from? Where does I think you need a Maverick type style footballer in a Blackpool team. I think you always need someone that's going to create something out of nothing that gets fans off their feet. We had it with Apter, we've had it with so many other players in the past, Dembele. I think we always need someone like that, and if he's not available, we're in a bit of trouble. But what I wouldn't want to see is Scott Banks just sat on the bench doing nothing because he doesn't fit in the system, right? So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I think I'm probably about pod. I've not quite made the hour, but we've nearly got there. We could talk about the various injuries that you got from the weekend, Hoggy, for another 5 minutes if you wanted to.
Oh, no one wants to be bored to death with that. We bored them for 55 minutes as it is. Listening to me talk about headbutting toilet doors isn't on people's things to do list, I'm sure. So we'll give that a miss if that's all right.
Yeah, let me wrap up a few of the chat comments. I think it would be good to see a few youth team players. I think we've historically not been very good at giving youth team players opportunities in sort of these sorts of games. I think Powell and Hoggy did that for most Blackpool fans yesterday. Blocks and Charles not full. Yeah, maybe they get another 30, 40 minutes at the end of, well, maybe not 40, but maybe 20 minutes, on Tuesday. I think he does. I think he does come back to League One. We can go back to Jerry. I think he does come back, but I've said it previously. I don't think he's overly enamoured with Blackpool. I know he had a great time here, but the old going back to an ex-girlfriend type thing. Powell, do you not think it's? I know Bowler's been here a few times, but I just don't get the feeling that he wants to be here or he's desperate to come here. Oh, you're muted.
I'll mute, that helps, doesn't it?
It's only live,
yeah,
mate. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll blank it out. We'll edit it. It's one of them, and it's Bowler clearly has that link with it, but I don't think Yates has ever really spoke about it, or we've never had the opportunity to hear from Yates on how he actually truly feels about the club. So it might be that he wants to come back, or it might be that, well, I want a few extra quid and I'd rather go to someone that's going to pay me the extra money. And I think if you've got a choice of coming to Blackpool, or whether you've got someone maybe in around London or somewhere around Manchester that probably suits his lifestyle a little bit more and can pay him a bit more money, the reality is that we can't really compete with that sort of offering, can we? So as much as you might like the place or dislike the place, it's a short career and he's going to go where the money is, and that's going to be the be-all and end-all. So I'd like to think we'd be his first choice, but are we going to be offering the biggest wage? I don't think so. And at the end of the day, it's Blackpool, isn't it? So if you're going to get a choice between living in Blackpool and London, again, there's not much of a comparison there, is there?
No, you're right. You're in Blackpool every day of the week, Ryan.
You can move, if you want to. You could move to London. It's within your hands. Yeah, Dennis in the chat mentioned about the referee. I did have a banner about the referee, but I wasn't sure if Hoggy would get us taken offline if we spoke about the referee. Any thoughts, Hoggy?
I thought he was brilliant. I thought, yeah, we had a good bit of a laugh. He was. I think he thought that I was holding a ball and hiding it from Stockport taking a quick corner. So obviously he came over, blowing his whistle and doing his best school teacher impression of telling us off, and he was going to add the time on to give the ball back. But I was simply telling. You did, but I didn't. So I was simply telling him I don't have the ball, so I can't return something I don't have. And then ironically, from that corner that came back into the away end, I then did get the ball. So I just did as I was told, followed the school teacher's orders, and threw the ball straight back at him and gave him a nice big thumbs up and a smile. And in his defence, he did laugh and give a thumbs up too. So he took it well. But I will say he actually had a good game yesterday. I thought the referee. I thought he was quite consistent in his decision making, and he didn't really want to get involved too much overall. So yeah,
he didn't want to give a free kick to Bloxham. I don't know what he'd said to Bloxham, but I think Bloxham got fouled about 5 times. He's like, no foul every time. Cool. Okay, thanks for that, gents. Really enjoyed that. It's always easy to do these podcasts when we've just won, right? And we're not ranting and raving about X, Y, and Z. Powell this weekend, Peterborough, early kickoff. I kind of feel like it sometimes stunts the crowd a little bit, but I think after that win, I assume you're looking forward to that ahead of Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Get the cup game out of the way, get Peterborough into town, and get them sent back down the road as well with no points in the bag for them. I think we'll beat them. I think they're in big trouble this season, to be honest with you. I think they'll be lucky to avoid the drop if they do. So, yeah, anything less than 3 points, I won't be overly impressed with, because we should be winning that game for me, especially if we can replicate the performance against Stockport.
Hoggy, what time are you in the Armfield on Saturday?
Ooh, bank holiday weekend, isn't it? So I've got to play my cards close to my chest and try and earn brownie points here, there, and everywhere. So I'm not too sure yet, but I'll be in there at some point. But going back
So
to the
what
half,
that means? That means Nat's definitely in earshot, and he's trying to play it carefully so she doesn't hear what he says in that reply.
you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. Going back to the half 12 though, there's a huge carrot being dangled, isn't there? If we win on Saturday, we go top of the league. Black and white fact. So if that's not enough to get fans and players up for it, regardless of whatever happens on Tuesday, then nothing will, because historically at this level we are really slow starters. So to have 7 from 9, including a really difficult away day at Stockport, and be sitting top of the league come 2:30 on Saturday would be absolutely marvellous. And I think we can do it. Like you say, we'll get at Peterborough. Dion Charles will open his account this weekend as well. There's this week's pod's claim.
We need a Hoggy prediction section at the end, don't we? Or Mystic Hoggy section at the end.
Yeah.
You just predict what's going to happen so that Jason can put it on his betting slip.
Crikey, yeah, I wouldn't have minded it being a few quid behind Mr. Steed this weekend after he's absolutely had Bet365 over with his wonderful Bloxham. Both in the Blackpool to win Bloxham and Bowler to score.
It was 2-0, but they paid it out early because they scored in like the 94th minute, right? So
God knows how many cans of Carling that's earned him.
And say shares in Carling will be purchased this weekend. Well, gents, thanks a lot for that. Really appreciate it. I'm taking my third show on Thursday to preview the Peterborough game. So looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get a win on Tuesday. And thanks to everybody for joining in the chat. That's it for us.